Welcome to the end of the European football season. There were new champions in 3 of the top 5 leagues, major surprises in Turkey and Italy, and some new ground broken in France. Here is Tifo's roundup. So let's start with the bits that everybody knows. Eintracht Frankfurt beat Rangers in the final of the Europa League on penalties, and in the Europa Conference League, Jose Mourinho's Roma held on to a 1-goal lead to beat Feyenoord in the final. In the Champions League, Villarreal knocked out Bayern Munich in the quarter-finals, and Real Madrid, despite losing at home to Sheriff Tiraspol in the group stages, conjured miraculous escape acts against, in order, PSG, Chelsea and Manchester City before beating Liverpool 1-0 in the final, courtesy of a miraculous Thibaut Courtois performance and a second-half goal from Vinicius Jr. Real also won La Liga in Carlo Ancelotti's first season after returning, and were again led by the goals and performances of Karim Benzema, who may yet win the Ballon d'Or. Real Betis won the Copa del Rey, beating Valencia on penalties, and Xavi Hernandez left Al Sadd mid-season to return to Camp Nou and manage Barcelona. In England, Manchester City survived a final day that tilted one way and then the other, with 2 Ilkay Gundogan goals proving enough to beat Aston Villa and keep Liverpool at bay. Jurgen Klopp still won a domestic double though, winning both the League and FA Cup finals on penalties. Mohamed Salah was vital to that success, and individually he shared the league's golden boot with Tottenham's Heung-min Son. Newly promoted Brentford survived comfortably, and their form in the second half of the season was partly inspired by the returning Christian Eriksen, who recovered from the cardiac arrest he suffered at last summer's European Championship to resume his career. Fulham and Bournemouth will be back in the Premier League next year. They secured automatic promotion from the Championship, and Nottingham Forest will join them after winning the playoff final, beating Huddersfield 1-0 at Wembley. In Germany, Bayern Munich won their 10th Bundesliga in a row, with RB Leipzig defeating Freiburg on penalties to win the first trophy in their history. Felix Magath briefly re-emerged to save Hertha Berlin from relegation, guiding them through a playoff against Hamburg, but Schalke and Werder Bremen are both back in the top flight, having spent just one season in the second tier. Over in France, PSG galloped away with Liga, and after their title was confirmed, they announced that Kylian Mbappé was not leaving the club after all. In the Coupe de France, Nantes won their first silverware since 2001. And during that game, in which Nantes beat Nice 1-0, Stéphanie Frappart accomplished her own achievement, becoming the first woman to officiate the French Cup final, having previously been the first woman to take charge of a Liga match and a Champions League tie. There was a surprise in Italy, as AC Milan captured their first Scudetto since 2011. Last season's champions Inter Milan won the Coppa Italia, defeating Juventus 4-2 after extra time. And Ajax won the title in the Netherlands during Erik ten Hag's last season, but lost the Dutch Cup final to PSV. In Scotland, Celtic reclaimed the Scottish Premiership, but Rangers captured the Scottish Cup, beating Hearts after extra time just a few days after losing that Europa League final. Porto survived the mid-season loss of Luis Diaz to reclaim the Primeira Liga title in Portugal, losing just a single game all season to hold off Sporting Club. And in Turkey, a season of surprises, with all 3 Istanbul teams underperforming. Trabzonspor became champions for the first time since 1984. And in Belgium, Union Saint-Gilloise led the league courtesy of 26 goals from Deniz Undav. He's joining Brighton and Hove Albion next year. But they did fall just short of a first championship in almost 90 years, with Club Brugge prevailing in the playoffs and clinching a hat-trick of successive titles. But perhaps one of the biggest shocks in all of European football this season came in the final of the Women's Champions League, with Lyon beating previously undefeated Barcelona 3-1 in Turin. Lyon have been the dynastic power in women's football for much of the last decade, but Barcelona won their domestic title with 30 wins from 30 games played and just 11 goals conceded. Lyon, however, pulled off the upset. In time, Amandine Henry's opener, which flew into the top corner from 35 yards, might just make the Puskás Award shortlist. Some consolation for Barcelona though, twice in 2022 they set the world record attendances for a women's football match. In April, 91,648 supporters packed into Camp Nou for a Champions League semi-final against Wolfsburg, beating by a few hundred fans a record set against Real Madrid a few weeks before. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. And if you do enjoy Tifo, then you'll probably also like The Athletic. If you watch our tactics videos, you should go and read Michael Cox. If you're into data, read Mark Carey. And if you're into transfers, it's David Ornstein. Plus, if you're a fan of any Premier League team, then there's a journalist dedicated to you, and you can try it for free for 30 days now by clicking the link in the description.